So you've got this incredible idea, this passion to change the world. Well, there's one official step that can be the golden ticket for your mission, turning that passion into a real, sustainable force for good. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 501c3 status.
It all starts right here, doesn't it? You see a problem, you have a vision for a solution, and you feel that drive to make a difference. That is the essential spark, the engine for every single great nonprofit out there.
But here's the thing, and it's a tough reality check. Passion alone doesn't pay the bills. It won't get you those big grants from foundations, and it can't offer your supporters the tax deductions that really encourage them to give generously. To build something that lasts, you need something a little more official.
And that official key, that solution, is a special designation from the IRS called 501c3 status. Now, I want you to think of this less as boring paperwork and more like the official seal of approval that tells the entire world, hey, we're the real deal. We're a legitimate, credible organization you can trust.
Okay, so what is it exactly? Well, at its heart, 501c3 is just a section in the U.S. tax code. But getting the status means two huge things for your organization. First, you don't have to pay federal income tax. And second, and this is the big one, people who donate to you can write those donations off on their own taxes.
So what does this status really do for you on a day-to-day basis? Let's break down the four main benefits, which I like to think of as the superpowers you unlock for your nonprofit.
Okay, first up, you get federal tax exemption. Second, you get the amazing power of donor deductibility. Third, you get access to the entire world of grants. And finally, you get a massive boost in public credibility. Seriously, each one of these is a total game changer. All right, let's zoom in on that second one, donor deductibility. Because this is the engine that will fuel your fundraising. The idea is simple. When someone knows they can save money on their taxes by donating to you, they're way more likely to give, and often to give more.
Let's use a really simple example to see how this works. Let's say a wonderful, generous person decides to give your organization $1,000.
Now, if that donor happens to be in the 24% tax bracket, that $1,000 donation actually lowers their taxable income. It saves them $240 on their tax bill. So for them, that incredibly generous gift feels like it only costs them $760 out of their own pocket. That is a powerful incentive.
And you know, it's not just about individual donors. If you're hoping to get funding from the big players, this isn't just a nice to have, it's a must have. Without that official letter from the IRS, the doors to most foundation grants, corporate giving programs, and government funding are just locked shut. Okay, so the benefits are pretty clear, right? But the next logical question is, does your mission actually qualify? Well, the IRS has a specific list of purposes it considers charitable. Let's see if you're on it.
The good news is the list is pretty broad. It covers things you'd expect, like helping the poor or advancing education, but it also includes things like lessening the burdens of government, defending civil rights, and even just fighting community decay. If your mission fits into one of these buckets, you are definitely on the right track.
All right, time to get practical. How do you actually get this status? It's a process, for sure, but it is totally doable. But first, we need to bust a huge, and I mean huge, myth that trips up so many new founders. So, quick pop quiz, true or false? The second you file papers with your state and become a nonprofit corporation, you automatically have 501c3 status. What do you think?
The answer is false. A big, all caps, resounding false. And I can't stress this enough. This is probably the single most common and costly mistake people make when they're starting out. Okay, so here's the difference, and it's critical. Incorporating in your state just creates the legal entity, the nonprofit corporation. That's a state-level thing. It does not give you any federal tax benefits. 501c3 status is a completely separate step that's granted only by the federal government, the IRS. That is the only thing that makes donations to you tax deductible. You need both. So the actual roadmap looks something like this. It's a three-step dance. First, you incorporate in your state. Second, you fill out and file an application with the IRS. That's going to be either Form 1023 or the shorter 1023 Easy. And third, you wait for that magical piece of mail, your official determination letter from the IRS. So when you get to that application step, you have a choice. The 1023 Easy is the streamlined version. It's cheaper, it's way faster, we're talking weeks instead of months, and it's designed for smaller startups that expect to bring in less than $50,000 a year.
The standard Form 1023 is much more detailed, it costs more, and it takes longer, but it's the required path for bigger or more complex organizations.
Okay, so you've navigated the process, you've gotten that amazing determination letter, celebration time, right? Well, yes, but the journey doesn't end there. Getting 501c3 status isn't a one-and-done thing. It comes with some ongoing responsibilities to keep it.
So what does that mean? Well, for one, you have to file an annual return with the IRS called a Form 990 every single year. You also have to stay focused on the charitable mission you promised to pursue. And this one is critical. You have to stay out of political campaigns. You absolutely cannot support or oppose any candidates for public office.
And believe me, you do not want to slack on these rules. The IRS is not messing around. If you forget to file that annual Form 990 for 3 years in a row, your tax-exempt status is automatically revoked. Just like that, all that hard work is gone.
So let's just bring this all home. I know it can feel like a lot of bureaucratic hoops to jump through, but getting your 501c3 status is so much more than that. It is the solid foundation that turns your passion project into a powerful, credible, and sustainable organization that can actually go out and achieve its mission.
And that really brings us to the final question you have to ask yourself. We know your mission is vital. The world needs what you have to offer. But is the foundation you're building underneath it strong enough to last? Getting that 501c3 status is the best way to make sure the answer is yes.